All right. I am going to share with you, trying to condense all of this, by the way, how I use essential oils for my personal emotional wellness. This goes into why I'm so passionate about it and just why I believe everyone has the right to this knowledge, why I will not stop talking about that, and why I'm even doing this workshop. That's basically the culmination of what you're going to get in this video. So, again, I apologize for the noisy window unit, but it is Florida. It is hot, and I have hot lights on me, and I need some air. So, we're going to get into this, okay? Now, you have already been learning so much about how emotions and essential oils are paired together, how our bodies work, scent. I'm going to tell you some interesting stories and how to actually use it because you know me by now that I don't like to just talk about things. I like that you actually come away with it feeling empowered to do it yourself and hopefully to teach others too. So when things come up, you are not left like alone or feeling overwhelmed, that you can feel confident to do this yourself. Okay. So, first off, when I got into essential oils, oh, I was all over the place. I didn't even get into essential oils for emotions, period. Like, I got into it just because I needed an alternative to over the counter stuff that was not working with my body very well. I had a lot of physical issues going on, and I was really afraid of all the side effects because I looked on the bottles of all the things. I was really concerned about liver failure, my liver health. I had used and abused over the counter drugs, prescription drugs in the past. And I just wanted to be healthy. And I had a newborn at the time. It was almost a year. And I was afraid to give him over the counter stuff because that side effect thing was intense, right? I was just scared. I didn't have peace about it. So I actually just started, I got my starter kit and I used it for some physical things and was blown away. And then, but okay, my emotional stuff was a mess. So I coming off postpartum, and I really don't like the term postpartum depression whatsoever because that's just I just don't like it. That's a whole different thing. Um, because you're not sleeping, not getting enough nutrition, your hormones are trying to adjust. If you have any other stuff going on, in this day and age, you do not have support. You do not have a village helping you. It's all on your own. It's overwhelming and you don't get a break. So huge life changes all at once. I do not like the term postpartum depression, but if you want to label it, that is what I was going through. Burnout, exhaustion, etc. My emotions were all over the place. My hormones were out of balance, something fierce. And I had never before understood what like that hormonal thing where women didn't have control over what came out and they totally turned into a different person. I never understood it until I had my baby, my last one. And then it happened and I was all over the place. I'm like, this is not acceptable. I had personal experiences growing up with people like that. And I'm like, I refuse to repeat this cycle. I refuse to hurt my family with my words or my actions or attitude. And I just feel like a totally different person. I don't feel like me. And I had grown up with different issues. I was diagnosed with bipolar and depression, was suicidal. So I very much understood not feeling like yourself. And that's a whole different topic to go into. But so there was already this history, and I'm like, I refuse this. I refuse this to be my life anymore. I thought I was free from this. So what is it? So that's where I was when I started using essential oils. And I was such a mess physically, emotionally, like every bit of my life was out of balance. So then when I went to reorder my kit, there was a slightly different one, meaning it just had a few of the different oils in it. And I got it and there was joy in there. And I looked at it and I scoffed. And I was like ragging on it with my husband, going through like, yeah, okay, whatever. I was so skeptical. And I look back at it now, I'm like, oh my goodness, what a change. So basically, it was a really, really bad day. And I was about to call my husband and like, you have to get home from work right now because I can't take this anymore. I'm about to go curl up in a ball and cry. Like I'm so burnt out, stressed out, etc. I can't take this anymore. And there was a lot of other stuff going on at the time too, um, but which is not relevant to this. But that's the state I was in, and I felt really guilty. I didn't want to mess up my husband. I didn't want to, I didn't want to bring him home from work. I really wanted to take care of myself, but I just didn't know how. And I didn't have anyone to go to. I didn't have anyone for help. So I kept walking by. I was praying the whole time. I'm like, oh, Lord, please, please help me, you know? And I kept seeing that bottle of joy. And I was walking past it, scoffing. I'm like, yeah, whatever. But it got so bad. And I was like, you know what? Because I was telling myself, all right, I've done everything. I have to call him. That's all there is to it. And, it hit me. I'm like, you know what? I haven't. I haven't tried that bottle of joy yet. I haven't tried using the essential oils for emotions. Not that I think it's going to work, but at least I have to say I did try everything. And that I thought, okay, well, I'll do that. And then it won't work. And that way I won't feel guilty when I call him and say, you need to come home. So I took it and I was doing chores. Like I put it on my belly button, because I saw in my oily educational group, that's how they recommended using it. So I did it, and then I huffed it, and I used a lot of it. I'm like, if there's any part of this that's gonna work, I think I need a lot more than just a few drops. So I was in such a really bad state, really bad mindset. And then 20 minutes later, I find myself like almost like skipping through the house. I didn't skip. And to go from such a really dark, negative mindset beforehand to that, and I'm like almost whistling. And then I caught myself, I'm like, what in the world? Like, that is not normal for me. It wasn't normal for me. And I'm like, what? And then I realized what happened. I'm like, that oil? No, it couldn't have been the oil. Yes, it was the oil. It worked. Like, that's the only thing different that happened. And it was such a remarkable difference. So my kids went down for a nap. I used it again, and I'm sitting there breathing it in, and I put it in my diffuser, and I started feeling in my heart. My heart literally felt like it was like uplifting, like that feeling I get when I'm laughing, when I have joy. And I'm looking at that bottle. I'm like, dang, this works. So that was really it. I was astounded. I didn't have to call my husband that day. And I was like, all right, I have to learn more about this. So that's a long story condensed, not too short, but so that started me into AFT. That started me into all of this and researching really heavily on everything, because I'm like, if I knew this when I was going through some of the worst times in my life, what would that have changed? How would that have been different? What would my life have been like? I'm going to try not to cry. Oh, this is why I do this, by the way. So the next part is I was going through some deep, intense emotional stuff. So throwing this out there, because if anyone else is going through it, I want you to know the relevance of this. I want you to have help. I would hate to know that you needed this, and because I just didn't specifically talk about it, that you didn't get the help you needed, or someone you knew, you didn't think it could help them when it could. So I had to go no contact with some narcissist family members, really, really toxic relationships, things that were crushing my spirit, destroying me in every way. And that was something I had to do. That was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do in my life. It's still hard, but I'm on the other side of it, the up part of it. But in that time, it was just devastating. There wasn't a lot of resources. It was hard. It was really, really hard. And like pulling that Band-Aid. And then when you're in that state, like that's when all of this stuff starts coming up. Because if you're in survival mode for so long, after you cross over into a place where you're relatively safe, you can start to heal. That's where it starts to really hurt. Like you thought you were hurting before, now you really know what it's like to hurt. And it comes out of nowhere because things can trigger you, right? So thankfully, I was introduced to AFT at the time and really got some amazing resources on essential oils and emotions and how to use them. And basically, what I did, this is my memory release roller bottle. So pretty. So I just put my frankincense, lavender, and stress away in here in equal parts. I was starting to get panic attacks. It was really hard. I lived in fear. Like I'm a totally different person now than I was then because I was so gripped in fear. When you're constantly getting ripped to shreds and criticized, critiqued for the way you look, the way you talk, the way you dress, everything you do, no matter how pure of an intention, gets twisted into something gross and ugly. I couldn't function. I was a nervous wreck. I had severe anxiety issues, and thinking about it is almost going to bring it back. But it would trigger full-on panic attacks, and I would just lose composure. I couldn't compose myself, and I would just break down in tears, and like my nerves, I was shaking all the time. I couldn't look people in the eye, nothing. That's how bad it was because of those people and the toxicity. So there was contact made from them, and I got it in the mail, and I just, the panic attack got triggered. I felt unsafe is basically what it was. And it triggered all of that. And then it's like looking at that, like, I don't know if you have ever watched Harry Potter, but there's that scene where like in Chamber of Secrets, where Ron gets the howler, and they know that like that card is gonna like chew him out and be really nasty and ugly, like something they really want to avoid. And that's kind of what I was looking at when I got that thing in the mail. Everything related to them was like, you know. So my husband did not get it. He did not understand at that time what was happening, that triggered a panic attack. And I was about to go full on like, and my kids were there. They were about, my husband was getting dinner ready, and I'm like, I have to go to the bedroom. Like, this is not okay. And I started like not freaking out in like a really bad, but if you've ever experienced a panic attack, you understand, and like you're trying to convey this, but you can't, and you're falling apart, and then your kids are watching you. And it's like, and any panic attack I had before, it would knock me out for about a week or so straight. Like it was just so emotionally taxing, physically depleting, and I would be gone for a week or two after that, just in that total burned out, overwhelmed stage, and just like wrapping up in my bed to try to like recover and like, show my kids like I'm okay, like, but when I'm not okay. And so what I was learning, I took that. It's still powerful for me to talk about. Like, if you realize how huge this is. So I had been learning these things, learning these techniques. So I was like right in that moment of full on panic attack meltdown. And I had the oils right on my shelf in my bedroom. So I went and grabbed those oils and went on my bed, and I was like shaking and starting to really feel all of the effects of the panic attack taking place. And then I just learned Vitaflex. So I took my left hand and my ring finger. There's your heart Vitaflex. So I put the oils right on the heart Vitaflex. And in the meantime, I was already doing that. So I would get that aroma, right? Get the aromatherapy benefits. And then I just started Vitaflexing. Vitaflexing. Doing deep breathing. I'm safe. I'm loved. I'm okay. I'm not there anymore. I'm loved for me. I'm worthy. I'm not those things they say that I am. I'm okay. My kids love me. My husband loves me. And I did that for like 5-10 minutes straight. So that's what I did. Five minutes into it, it was still like fighting that wave, that current. And then I noticed like, okay, it's not going up here anymore. It's not like volcano about to explode. It's like, okay. And then it's okay. And then it's okay. And then it's like, what? In 15 minutes, going from that heightened state and going through the whole process, I was able to go out after I washed my face. I was able to go out and join my family for dinner. That, if you've ever experienced or know anyone who's been in the middle of a panic attack before, you know how incredible that is. And I just looked at it and that was really the kicker. Like, everyone has to know about this. If it can do that for me, like, I literally felt the difference between about to explode with full-on panic attack, crippling panic attack, in tears, not able to function for a while, to that. And this one, the Heart Vitaflex pad tip nail, that connects to your heart. We all have nerves. If you've heard anything about Vitaflex, awesome. Acupuncture, etc. Like, it's there. If you don't know about that, well, I'm happy to talk to you about that. Or you can research that more about how our nerve points are all connected at different points, and also our emotions as well. So I was able to do that, and it was almost like jump starting my heart, but emotionally, I didn't really need the physical, but emotionally, it helped to do the same thing. I started feeling the same thing that I did with the Joy oil blend. And all that does at its core is its energy, its frequency, and it goes to like shock the heart. It's not like literally shocking the heart. Okay. So don't worry. But it's done in a gentle way. So it really gets in there and connects with the body part. And that's what it did for me, the oil and the Vitaflex, and then using the memory release blend. So there were different situations that came up that were not quite as intense, but different forms. And I was able to use the oils, and I remembered that, and I've kept doing that ever since. So I am so thrilled to say that I have not had a panic attack since. There have been things that have shaken my knees, that I've gone up and stood on stage and talked to people and been so out of my comfort zone, been terrified to do it. And I have, even like this before would have really crippled me. To have that crippling anxiety. I was agoraphobic for a really long time, meaning even talking on the phone would put me into a panic attack. So it's still not something I'm super comfortable with, but I don't have panic attacks anymore. And that is everything to do with these oils and being able to recognize, do the emotional work. So when you're just starting out, like, how amazing is this? Because people, especially in that state, are not fully ready to process everything all at once. There's a level of maturity in different ways, just different levels. And a lot of people are just raw, burnt out. They have nothing left to give or do. They can't take care of themselves at that point. They need to be taken care of, or they need something really easy and simple to do. So that's what I used. And I had to walk through this because there is the compliance issue. So I'm not saying do this, and I'm not making claims. I'm sharing what it did for me. And if that can help anyone at all in any way, shape, or form, or you get inspired, then by all means, I will take whatever slap on the hand for that. But I know that's not going to happen. So that's just part of it. As profound, as big, huge, monumental as those were in my life, And that's not even all of it. Those are just a few examples, but every single day, these things help me and my family in tremendous ways. They have helped me to get balanced, to feel like me. If you are a female and you have an off cycle, you have extreme PMS, you know what that means to feel not like yourself and to not like that weird person who feels like they're taking over your body once a month, or for whatever other thing. You know, if you get triggered by your kid spilling milk or screaming, you know what it's like to have extreme guilt or remorse for your outburst or your response or how you handled something. And then to be able to come to this place using simple things that you have on your shelves and just very simple ways, in 1 minute, in 5 minutes, in 10 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever block of time you have, even if you do it in the shower or go to the bathroom, you know, to be able to work with these things that work with your body to bring you back to you. This has nothing to do with changing you. This isn't like a psychoactive drug or anything. This is all about getting rid of the imbalance and bringing you back to you, so you can shine, so you can be empowered, so you can function, so you're not a hot mess, so you are thriving. You're not just surviving or getting by in life, but you're truly thriving and living in vibrancy. That's simply extraordinary life that we all can have when we have the right tools. All right. I have a lot of gratitude I need to express right now. I need to wrap this up because I think you get it. I think you get by now how powerful this can be. I hope this has helped you. I hope this inspires you. If you remember, we can't give out protocols or things like that. But if you have any other questions, maybe have you used this for that? Have you ever experienced this? I'm happy to share my stories in my personal accounts. Or if I know someone who has a story about a specific thing. I also, real quick, there's a resource called The Miracle of Essential Oils. This I really love. This is by Jason Sapp, and he talks about how, another thing I'm passionate about, he was or is a veteran, and he experienced PTSD coming back from deployment. And I've experienced this personally with members of my family, and I wish I would have known about this beforehand to help them. So I'm throwing that out there too, that I used it for CPTSD, which is complex, and that's linked to narcissist toxic relationship. And then the regular PTSD that we're all more familiar with is very much common with veterans, with soldiers, anyone in military, or who have experienced intense, prolonged periods of trauma. So that's just the extreme, but it can go from the very, very least like amount of imbalance. Okay. So that's another resource. I will throw that link in there as well, so you can get access to that. And I hope you feel more encouraged. And now you get to pass that torch and share that encouragement with others. All right. Bye for now.